Super. BS.
Bang, 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 bang. We did it. This is Jank, the baby boy, ever lovable, #1 Twitch star now, because next week, me and the villainous, I'm just going to announce you as Joink. Everybody knows him as Joink. Everybody loves him as Joink. Actually, everybody boos him. He is a heel. We are going to be on Twitch next week, so we have already declared ourselves the #1 on Twitch. So just go there to see us with all the people, #1 Twitch streamers, Baby Boy Jank. And what do you want to call yourself so all the people know? Because it's really easy to keep your name. I'm sure everybody knows who we're talking about every time.
I was thinking about this today. You've killed off like 5 of my alter egos already. I don't even
I'll
remember
kill
what
off
they're
any
called.
more that have jokes or are punny names. I'll keep killing them. So can't stop me.
I just Joink, you know.
Okay, Joink.
Joinky Joink.
Joinky Joink is back, bros. I mean, You guys know him. You guys love him. He's getting those #1s. He's getting those retweets, those hot scribes, as we call them, when people subscribe to your page.
Hot scribes.
Dudes, we have finally we have some news to actually talk about. We have the thing that everybody's been waiting to talk about before we get into games. I just can't even not talk about this because it's so big. It's THQ Nordic's 10th anniversary event. So this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in the history of video games. And I want to know give me your top 5 from the THQ 10th anniversry. What were the top 5 announcements?
Yeah, I don't even know when did this happen? What are
you talking about, man? It just happened only 10 days ago when we're recording, so only 2 weeks ago when you're listening. I wanted to save it for an extra special episode because I wanted to talk about all the hits like Destroy All Humans 2, Reprobed, Outcast 2, the 1999 open world game that is getting a sequel in some year in the future. Outcast 2, A New Beginning. Jagged Alliance 3. The last Jagged Alliance game that they made was Jagged Alliance 2 in also 1999. Some like Rome RPG thing, MTX thing, Elix 2, that like Jank RPG, and then the one that we've all been waiting for, another SpongeBob SquarePants property. We're not even sure what it is. They didn't say if it was a platformer or what. So you seem like somebody who likes
I like the note here for Jagged Alliance. It says, "All good things come in threes." Nice. Fans have been waiting for decades to see the 3rd edition of the legendary strategy franchise, Jagged Alliance. I didn't even know there were a first 2.
I mean, yeah, it was hard to remember because it was like before the internet, practically. It was in 1999. So these were old PC games. Which of these 20-year-old titles that they're reviving are you most excited for? Honestly, like, I don't think outside of Elix 2 and maybe some of the sports games, I don't think any of these games have had a prequel or a previous title in the last 2 or 3 generations. I think Xbox, the original Xbox was like Destroy All Humans, and then Jagged Alliance and Outcast were way before that. They did remake Outcast at one point.
Okay, hold on. I'm looking at so Destroy All Humans, I have heard good things about. I haven't ever quite gotten into it.
It's on Game Pass, bro. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the podcast. We might not have. I played it for a little bit. It's okay. It's not.
Oh, I played
great.
the MX games. I remember those.
Oh, you liked them?
Yeah, they were okay. I remember on PlayStation 2 they had MX Unleashed or something like that, and it was like a big open world ATV game. No, it was ATV Unleashed or something. It was on the PlayStation 2. It was like one of the games came out close to launch. They didn't sound like that car that just went by, but
that was me on a hog. I'm recording this while riding a hog down a street, That's what us cool kids call motorcycles. I'm a hog rider, as everybody knows. When you see me live on
Tim
Twitch,
Allen, John Travolta,
Yeah,
Wild Hogs,
Wild
huge
Hogs.
fan.
This is actually a Wild Hogs fan cast. It's no longer a Super BS, a podcast about video games. It is Wild Hogs, Wild Hogs with a Z. And we are the fans of the film Wild Hogs with an S. So
did you catch any of that Netflix Tadum thing that happened this past weekend?
wait, no, what happened?
Yeah, they just announced a lot of things, man. There's a League of Legends show coming out, and
Didn't they also have like a Dota thing? Like they release so much trash, man. I mean that Netflix is like becoming the B or C tier company. You know, like I feel like everything they release is normally trash, and then maybe they have like a good TV show or movie every 3,000 that they release. But that old South Park joke about that they're gonna make anything that you call about, that's pretty much what Netflix is. You know,
I forgot about that.
The floor is lava, man. That's just such a brilliant idea. You know, no one's ever done it before.
So they had Stranger Things 4, The Witcher Season 2, there's another Witcher Origin series, Witcher Season 3.
I like Stranger Things. That's good.
I like Stranger Things too. Looking forward to that. I don't know, man. I'm kind of like, now that I've seen the opening sequence for this live action Cowboy Bebop, I'm kind of feeling it, man.
I did not watch. They have a trailer?
It's a side-by-side comparison of the opening for this live action one versus the anime.
They still use that awesome song. I think it's called Tank.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I will need to check it out. But they don't have a trailer for like what the show's going to look like.
No, I mean they show you some of some clips in the opening sequence of the show, but it still looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now. It's very stylized and very interesting. How much do you want to bet, though, it's still going to be like, at best, Umbrella Academy level? Like, I just feel like that's mostly what Netflix can achieve is like this B2C tier undertaking of this thing.
I hope not, man. This is like sacred ground. You know, I got some hopes for it, but yeah, they're not very high.
Well, everybody on the podcast knows you only touch and deal with the finest. I mean, you bought probably one of the greatest games ever made recently. Pinky's up when you play it. Can you just tell everybody that title? I mean, it's like essentially the Red Dead Redemption 2 of games from last generation. They just remade it.
Sonic the Hedgehog games.
Yeah. Sonic. So you've been playing Sonic Colors. Everybody knows you just have impeccable taste. There's dozens of super high quality, high class games that released, and somehow in your mind you're like, you know what? I don't want to play any of these new games. I want to get a remake of a considered to be okay Sonic game, Sonic Colors. I don't want no Deathloop for me, no Kana, no Lost Judgment. I don't want to even look at that trash. I just want to play Sonic.
Get that away from me. I just wanted to play Sonic, man. Is that really too much to ask for?
It actually is. And we are now persecuting here and prosecuting you. I've brought a team of lawyers.
I'm feeling triggered, man. This is too much for me.
This is the end of you.
I'm walking away. I need
What made you decide to get Sonic Colors? 2, how is it?
Okay, so my kids wanted it. I went.
No, they didn't. That's a lie. You tried to force them to get it. No kid wants to play Sonic.
I told them that we could only get one copy of it because we've been getting 2 copies of games on their Switches and they haven't been playing them.
Oh.
Or they'll play them for like 5 seconds and they'll be like, I don't like this. So it ends up being like a waste of money.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, that sounds like a great use of money, actually.
Yeah, right. So I was like, all right. Past couple games you guys haven't liked, so I'm going to buy 1 copy of Sonic Colors for you guys. What console do you want it on? They're like, oh, if we can't have it on our Switches, we can't get 2 copies on Switch, we just want 1 on PlayStation. So we got that.
All right.
And I picked up Tales of Arise while I was there. Haven't played it yet.
You finished it. It's only 80 hours and you had all the time, so you did it.
80 hours. But Sonic Colors, man, like it's a Sonic game, most definitely. You know, I've come to this conclusion. You know why Mario succeeds and Sonic doesn't?
Why?
It's because
one's
Mario Well, one, we talked about this thing I think you and I talked about this off the podcast. Like, they haven't quite been able to do outside of that Sonic Adventure game, right? They haven't been able to quite, like, bring Sonic into the 3D realm very well.
Yeah.
With Sonic Colors, I'm noticing a trend where it's like they have with Mario, they had all like the cartoons and stuff existed as like a side by side with the game, right? The games were the most important thing, and the cartoons and comics and all that were just like side stories. With Sonic, the games are basically continuations of the cartoons now, and that I think is where it loses a lot of interest, especially for like somebody like me who doesn't watch the cartoons and just wants to play Sonic.
It's love the cartoons. That's you're just talking about them.
No, yeah. Well, my kids like them, but like it's the same voice cast, and it pretty much is it's a game of the cartoon instead of like the cartoon being like a cartoon of the game. And anyways, the gameplay, I don't know. They make it so you, much like in like a Mario game, you got to go through the levels and look for stars. And this one, you're looking for red coins. And the red coin, it's annoying because the red coins, like, you're going through things so fast that you could go through a level and not find a single red coin unless you're like really examining all different corners as you're speeding by things. And that's probably the most annoying thing to me, is that like I have to go through these levels at like a snail's pace with Sonic because these red coins are like hidden places where I would never even guess, and like once you pass a certain place, you can't go back to go to another area to try to get those coins.
Everybody knows Sonic's favorite catchphrase. It's "I gotta go slow." So you're playing the game the wrong way. He wants you to go slow.
I must have, man.
And he's a Sherlock Holmes type. He's just a Sherlock Holmes with an attitude.
He is. And anyways, it's been really annoying. And I kind of I don't think I'm going to play much more of this game.
Sounds way better than all the cool games I've been playing, like Kana. So you made the right choice.
Clearly. All right, well, tell me about Kana.
Well, no. Before we move on, does Sonic Colors at least have multiplayer? Like, can you play with them together, or is it just single player?
No, you can. It's single player, but you can play like this weird arcade mode where you can play with friends.
What do you do in that?
It's like a Eggheads, like a retro, because the whole thing takes place at like this theme park that Robotnik or Egghead builds, and you have this one mode where you can play an arcade game, like like in Sonic 2 where you could play with your friend, you can have that 2-player thing.
Love that.
Yeah, it's basically what that is, but it's a standalone thing. Like, you can't play any of the game's main levels, just like these little arcade levels that are created.
Oh, it sounds not fun at all. Have you guys been playing a lot?
I played like 4 of the levels. My girls keep getting game over, and they only let you have one save file.
Okay.
So every time I get far, they end up dying, and then I have to start from the beginning. So it's just been it's been kind of a colorful headache, if you know what I mean.
This sounds like a joy. This just sounds like the best thing ever. I have played a lot of new things, but before I get to that, just to round out all the fun stuff you've been playing, tell us a little bit about Pokemon Sword. We talked about it a little bit last time, but you did something new, I think, since we last discussed.
I finished it, finally. 2 years, man. It
takes
took me
everybody knows it's a 2-year game.
2 years to play through this game. I've lost interest so much through it. I've been trying to play a little bit of Switch, like before I go to sleep, kind of shut my brain down, and I just got Pokemon back in there. Played through the Elite 4 or Elite 5 or whatever stuff. Beat the gym trainer.
There you go.
Captured a legendary Pokemon, and now I just will not go back and play any more of it. So
it sounds like it was a very good use of your time. You loved it.
I'm getting a great use.
I'm getting a whole lot of, you're loving the gaming choices you're making, and games are great, so you want to keep doing that. I feel like you haven't played something fun in a while, man. When was the last game that you were like actually excited to play?
That's a good question. Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think, was the last thing I was excited about.
In 2020? What was the last game, though, that you put in and you actually was like, oh, man, I don't want to stop playing this. Like, I want to get further.
God of War, I think. That was 2018,
Wow.
right?
You haven't had a game at all in the last 3 years, essentially, like 2.5 years that you've enjoyed?
No, well, I mean, I enjoyed parts of games. Like I enjoyed Assassin's Creed Valhalla, enjoyed a little bit of that, not all of it, but
Okay.
you know, and I really like the Forza Horizon games. So I mean, I've played through Forza Horizon 3 lately, enjoyed that one, but yeah, nothing's been like, you know, when you're a kid and you get these games and you're like, I can't wait to get home and turn this game on.
Well, the
You know,
thing
and
is,
you-
there's like a ton of good games that just came out. That's why I'm asking, because I feel like you're choosing not to play the games that are good and like
Well-
choosing to watch the Netflix. You know, it's like, hey, I've got this new Christopher Nolan film, but instead I'm gonna watch whatever Ed Wood's new film. You know, like, and I'm gonna watch it on repeat. You know, like,
yeah, I don't know. Dude, I'm like, I get to the point now where like when my video game time rolls around, I'm so tired and like it's really hard to like suck me into it. You know, like
okay.
back when we were, I guess, kids or high schoolers, you know, we could just go turn on a game and lose ourselves in it. Now it's a little bit more difficult for me to do. So
I do that on the reg, bro. It's good still.
Yeah, I know, but I'm looking forward to playing Tales of Arise. Like
good.
hearing you and Dr. Donna talk about that, like it, you know, like I said before, it reminds me of the early days of the cast when we were all playing Final Fantasy 15, which is a game I was actually really fond of. You know, it's a game that did pull me in and did like bring me into that world. It immersed me in that world completely.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you some quick gaming updates before I go into the new stuff I've been playing. Played some more Eastward. I'm finally in Chapter 2. It's still really neat. It's not a game where really the gameplay is the hook, though. While I think the gameplay is totally competent and fun, and there's a minor upgrading system that you can use this salt to buy things with. The main thing is the art and the story. It's just pretty interesting. You know, you're underground, and I finally got to the surface of the world, which probably was like 4 hours almost to get to that point. But I also got quite far in Tales of Arise. I'm now nearly, like 16 hours. I'm about done with, you know, the game's pretty laid out, at least at the beginning, that you're going to do 5 zones essentially, and then there's supposedly more stuff. But I am about to finish the 3rd zone, and then I'll go on, and there's some stuff to do.
Can I ask you some questions about the game?
Sure.
Do you get to go into like villages and stuff? Like, does it have that RPG feel to it where you go into villages and you can talk to people and buy items?
Yeah, I mean, all that's in there. You can go to villages. I mean, because all the villages are under like totalitarian control, you could chat with people and you can buy stuff, but it's not like the traditional RPG where you're walking around, everything's hunky-dory. There's a village that I just went through that's kind of like that, but you don't really get that till the 3rd zone. The other 2 are like, you know, everybody's scared for their lives, but there's still items you can buy. There's a crafting system just for weapons. So generally you'll buy items and armor at a store. You'll craft weapons and accessories, which you can also find, but you're going to mainly do that by crafting, which you craft by getting resources from enemies. And then you have like leveling up, and you also have, so you have XP and SP. So, you know, normal experience, then SP is like these skill points. You get a certain amount of them per battle. And then by doing side quests, and they allow you to unlock more skills and more abilities off of this, like, not really a skill tree, but like these multi-sphere grids that pop up as you do stuff in the game. Like, oh, if you cook 20 different recipes, maybe it will unlock a title, they're called, for one of the characters. Then there's 5 new, you get 1 ability immediately, and there's 4 new unlockable abilities. And once you unlock the whole title, you get an overall stat boost, like maybe 10 plus attack, 20 plus defense.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so it kind of gives you a little bit of motivation to go through and
there's so much. Yeah, there's so much to that game, man. It's like, we could have a podcast just about that. Just know what you're going into is a fairly generic story-wise and acting-wise anime RPG with incredible combat and tons of upgrading and fun, kind of like carrots on the stick. There are multiple carrots, and you're essentially chasing all of them at the same time. So it never really feels like you're wasting time in that game. It feels like you're always doing something and getting stronger and getting better. I really can't say enough good stuff about it. I mean, it's essentially derailed my Deathloop playthrough. I think I played like maybe extra hour and a half of Deathloop since we last talked.
Yeah.
I also got the Ghost of Tsushima of what it was called, Iki Island, Director's Cut, content. You know what I mean? I haven't got a chance to really start it yet, but hopefully I'll have a chance to do that and finish it because it's like 3 hours. It's a story of my life with DLC. But the main thing, the new things that I've played, and there's a lot I've wanted to play, I just haven't had the time, like Sable. We've talked about that game a lot. It's really beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It's on Game Pass. Just, it looks great. Came out last week. I haven't had a chance to I don't even know if it's downloaded. If it is, I haven't turned it on. What do you want to hear about first? Halo Infinite or Kena?
Tell me about Halo Infinite.
Okay, cool. So I'm in the Halo Infinite stress test, whatever, beta. I work a lot in the weekends, just so everybody knows. So I only got to play one match on Friday before work. I tried to play again on Sunday. It would not let me. I waited about 10 minutes. It would not load me into a map. But I did get to play one multiplayer map. And I will say, as of right now, it controls super well. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait to play more of it. But that being said, even though I think it is like probably the best Halo's ever been and is a ton of fun, it's not going to dethrone Apex for me. So it will probably be like what happens when I pick up a Call of Duty, where I play the multiplayer for about anywhere from 2 weeks to a month and a half, and then I fall off because, it's great, but there's just that it's not my multiplayer game. And I don't have friends who are playing Halo anymore, so I'm not gonna be stuck playing it.
I was thinking about that this past weekend, man. So another thing, I went back and played a few Halo 2 levels, just trying to
We talked about playing together. We never got to do that.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so sorry, man. I forgot to.
Yeah, it's no worries.
I didn't actually even get on the other night, but it's weird because I do remember back to that time, when everybody was playing Halo, the multiplayer.
Yeah, I had a clan in Halo 2 that I played online with. It was fun.
Right, yeah, that was back when Xbox Live first came out.
Yeah.
But I don't know, back then, I was so good at Halo, and now even just playing through these campaigns, that muscle memory, it's not there anymore. So I'm getting blown up. I can barely drive a Warthog. I don't know, back in the day, I probably could breeze through these levels, but now I'm focusing so hard on trying to be strategic because I'm not as good as I used to be.
It's a hard game. I went and played a little bit of it earlier this year, just saw the Series X enhancements. Halo 2 is just really tricky. It's not as hard as I remember because I'm playing on normal and not legendary or heroic. So parts there's a place in Zanzibar. What's the name of the second map where you're on the human city? Is that place Zanzibar or?
Oh yeah, that's a new something city. The one the Scarab.
Yeah. So there's a area I always call it the Jackal area. It's there's all snipers all around this big open spot, and there's nowhere to hide. I remember when I originally played that. I want to say I was playing it co-op, and I could be wrong, but I feel like in Halo 2, the co-op worked where if somebody died, you both reset at the checkpoint. Neither person could die. I could be wrong because I know in 3, that's not how it worked. 3, they could respawn as long as somebody was alive. All you had to do was get somebody through a battle.
That's how it was with Halo 1. I remember you hid, and then your buddy would come back as long as you weren't fighting anybody. I don't remember how the respawn system in Halo 2 worked.
And it could have been maybe because I was playing on Legendary also. I don't know.
Yeah.
There might be different rules, but I just remember that area very vividly, maybe not fondly, and having to go through it multiple times while the Jackals kept sniping us, giving headshotting, and killing us immediately. And I played through it. It was super easy. The main thing I've noticed is the levels are a lot longer than I remember. I do remember thinking they were long as a kid, but it's
they're 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I would say even some are way longer. I'm at the level where you play as the Arbiter, and you're flying around in a ghost. I think it's called a ghost, not a wraith.
Yeah,
whatever the flying vehicle is.
Yeah,
I think it's ghost because I think Banshee is the car, right? Or no, Banshee's the flying one. The ghost is the
flies. The ghost is the little purple motorcycle.
Yeah. So the Banshee, you're flying around the Banshee up in the sky, and all these enemies are there, and they're just shooting you like crazy. Nonetheless, we've digressed. Halo Infinite is very good. I hope it comes out this year. I still don't totally trust their December 7th release date. I think the multiplayer, or December 8th, I think the multiplayer could make it, but I am very concerned for the single player. We're 3 to 4 months away, and we really haven't seen any gameplay since last year. So I don't know, man, but it's good. I also ended up picking up Kana. We talked about it at the end of the last podcast. I had so much stuff to play. I was like, I shouldn't pick it up, but the reviews are good, and it sounded super duper fun. It's neat. I'm only about 2 hours in. It's a very, right where I am, it's pretty simple platforming style game. Like it's open area, so you go through like an area and you're like going to figure out which path to take, and there'll be slight puzzles, and you got to find these little cute creatures called rot, and they're like really fun. Like the animation's incredible. It's this company's first game they've ever made, Ember Labs, but they did animation before that. They did this incredible Majora's Mask like CGI short. So yeah, the animation's great. The story's fairly interesting. You're a spirit guide, very similar to Spiritfarer, and you're trying to like get the spirits to where they're supposed to go. And you can you can do slight upgrades. I just got to the part where you can use your wand staff thing as a bow, so you could also shoot. And that's neat. It's finally made the game a little bit more interesting. Combat wise, there's not a ton there. It is tricky, but yeah. What was your question?
Well, I was going to ask, like, is there a like big bad in the game, or are you just kind of fighting spirits and things like that?
Right now, there's just like this. I don't think it's also called rot, but there's some like type of decay in the land, and you have to like cleanse it, and then everything goes green, and the water comes back, and you'll do that several times. I haven't even fought a first boss. From listening to a lot of other podcasts, it sounds like they're incredibly difficult. I've like played it probably, like I said, 2 hours. So I probably played an hour and a half the first night. And I probably played like 2.5 hours, and then I've turned it on several other times. From what I understand, it's about a 12-hour game. So I'm like super early on. Like there's supposedly 3 places you go. I'm still in the middle of the first place. So I think, yeah, I've got some time left. It is cool. I don't know if it deserved the praise that it got. Like if you saw the reviews, they were pretty high.
I would, right? I saw IGN gave it an 8.
8s, 9s. Some people say it's like their top 10. If I was making a top 10 list, it might make it in there, but it's hard. I think if it made it in there, a lot of it would just be on the strength of the animation and the art style, because it's so good looking. Like the game doesn't control bad, and it's fun to play, so it's definitely like pleasant in every way, but it's kind of almost like Ratchet and Clank in some ways, where you're playing a game, and the game itself is pretty fun, but it's not. There's nothing really crazy special about it, other than that it's just really good looking. Now, the thing that this game has going against it is, unlike Ratchet and Clank, there's not really like a multi-tiered upgrade system. Where like Ratchet and Clank, I was always upgrading weapons and doing all of these things that I was constantly on a grind.
Is there any upgrade system at all?
Yeah. So you can get upgrade orbs or whatever from fighting, and then occasionally doing stuff in the area. And then there are like 4 very simple one-line trees. So like 4 like attack, and there's 4 nodes on attack, and you have to get each node in order, I believe. And then shield, and there's 4 nodes on shield. And there's 4 nodes on bow, and there's one thing I haven't unlocked yet, probably some type of item. And then there's 3 separate things that you can choose at any time. They're like, make your rot stronger, and it just lets you can upgrade it once. So it's really simple. Like let me see if we can if I can share a picture with you. Kana Bridge of Spirits upgrade tree, just so you could like see what I'm talking about. If you Google that, if I can find it, here, I'm going to copy this link so you can also explain to people what it looks like. But anyways, yeah, it's pretty fun, man. I do like it. We'll see by the time I'm done with it if it like makes my, if we do a top 10 this year, it might make that. But if we do a top 5, this year's already getting wild in terms of like great games. Like Village was incredible. Obviously Tales of Arise is like kind of my Yakuza Like a Dragon of this year. It's like the game that I didn't expect, but I'm really loving.
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, and then Deathloop is also great. And those are the 3 on the top of my mind. Like, Bravely Default 2 wasn't bad. Ratchet and Clank was a lot of fun. There's, Spirit, Ender Lilies, Death's Door. There's been so many good titles this year. Have you started thinking about like what you've enjoyed the most this year? I feel like you, like we just talked about a minute ago, I feel like you haven't really gathered onto or globbed onto a game yet. So I just don't even know what your top 5 games would even be.
I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot I need to go through and finish. But yeah, as of right now, I'm kind of waiting for Halo and Forza and diving into Tales of Arise. I don't know, man. Like I'm hoping I can find something that will really like stick out at the top of my list. But last year I was just kind of putting things on that I played, and none of those things were really like favorites of mine.
And last year was a strong year too. I think you just missed some of the bigger titles. Like Last of Us was really, really great. Yakuza was incredible. Ghost Tsushima, Cyberpunk. That's a picture of the upgrade tree if this goes on YouTube, and you can check it out later. So anyways, there's a lot of great games that came out last year. I want to say this year is a little bit less even than last year. Like last year had, Final Fantasy VII Remake, just tons of big AAA titles on top of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and all of the large stuff. This year, I was looking at an October release schedule, and besides Metroid Dread, it's really Far Cry 6 for October.
Yeah, you know what? I keep forgetting that Far Cry is coming out. I
don't forget about it. I'm just wondering if I'm going to get FOMO and pick it up immediately, or if I'm going to hopefully have patience and get it on sale, because Ubisoft drops their games in price literally 2 weeks late.
Far Cry. Yeah, I think Far Cry was $20 within a month.
Yeah,
couple months.
So I'm still kicking myself from picking up Watch Dogs Legion at launch last year because I liked 2 so much and I enjoyed the first one.
I've seen that game for $10 multiple times.
Yeah, I mean it was 20 before the end of last year, and it was an October title.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean we're wrapping up this year, man. I mean you got Forza, you got Call of Duty Vanguard, you got Battlefield, Shin Megami Tensei 5. You've got some stuff, the Pokemon remakes, but honestly, it's a pretty thin year overall. There's still been some great titles, like I mentioned, and I'm going to have a hard time making a top 5 if we only do that, or even a top 10. I would probably have a hard time figuring out where does everything go. I don't know if I have 10 titles I love right now, but I'm sure by the end of the year I will. But that being said, for you, I'm just curious what you'd even, because you didn't finish Village, which is a game that I absolutely love, and you didn't pick up Deathloop, and you played Ratchet and Clank, but you didn't seem to love it. And I feel like you haven't touched your Switch at all this year. And I don't know what you play on Xbox. So I'm just curious.
I don't know. I have a list, man. I've got a list of things I played and finished from this past year. So
all I'm saying is that if Sonic Colors is on your top 5, then what are we doing with ourselves?
Absolutely not. Yeah. That was more of a curiosity play than anything else.
Okay, I mean, there's nothing against it. I'm sure it's a decent game. I have no interest in the Sonic series anymore, but I used to like them when I was a kid.
I did complete Artful Escape, though. I did roll credits on that one.
I think oh no, you had just started last week. Okay. What's your overall impression? You were probably close to the end last time, but give us a takeaway. What do you think about that overall, hey, this was the game, it was good, this is bad?
It was good. I mean, it told a good story. Kind of spoke to the person who's not quite sure what they want to do with their lives, and having all these expectations on your shoulders. That, it kind of told a Night in the Woods type tale. A coming of age story, kind of figuring out what the world wants from you. Really beautiful game. The soundtrack's great. The environments are really cool. I guess my one beef is that it tried really hard to be a music game, trying to make you match the button rhythms on the screen, but it kind of feels like it falls short.
Yeah, a big thing for me always is game. It's a game, so it should be fun to play. Even Eastward, a thing that I really enjoy, it's not a crazy game. It's a talky game.
No.
You walk around, you do stuff. Obviously, it's more of a game than Artful Escape, because I can go around and hit things and do stuff, and I'm walking around whole villages, and there's just more to it. But yeah, that's, like I said, at some point I will probably go through Artful Escape because it's so short. But if it was longer, I don't think I would even be remotely interested in trying it.
No. And you don't, outside the, rhythm stuff, you don't really do anything besides, jump. Jump across and over things. In the game, I guess, this is kind of a weird thing to complain about, but the game doesn't let you fail. Like, you can't die, you can't fail the rhythm challenges. You just have to keep going until you like nail the patterns down.
That's I don't know, man. There's something to that that's good, so you don't have to stress. But at the same time, I don't know. The whole thing is everything going on in that idea, which is it's becoming a popular style of game to make and a popular style of game by reviewers. This Life is Strange, this Artful Escape, this game where you just kind of like do a little bit of interactivity with a story, and I don't know.
If they could take that type of story and actually craft a good game around it, then we'd really have something special. But there's not. The games that tell these really great stories that are really relatable are the ones that don't have a lot of like action in them. You know, like it's.
I think it's really hard to make a great game without combat. That's what those games are trying to do, but it is possible. Like two of my all-time favorite walking sim games, and if I had to make a top 100 list, they would probably make it, is What Remains of Edith Finch, which is incredibly fun. I don't know if you ever played that, but it is.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that one a lot. And then Gone Home. And yeah, Gone Home was more of a time because it is a walking sim, but just how short it was, how to the point it was, and how much it brought me back to the 90s. Like they did a good job of giving you a time period and a place and letting you experience that while learning a little bit about characters. And it wasn't even an hour long. So it was something where it's like, I totally get that. It's not very long. They nailed the execution. The problem with even things like Artful Escape to me is like, is there 2 hours worth of content there? You know, like what I played was it was way too slow. I walked around the town. I talked to a few people. I don't think any of those things mattered. It's actually
you never go back to that town. Like once you leave it, you don't go back.
Yeah, I had a feeling, which is kind of funny because it makes it feel throwaway. It kind of reminds me of. Did you ever watch the TV show The Sopranos?
No.
I'm going through that series now. I'm on the final season, and I would say I am amazed at this point that show is as successful as it was, because for most of the first 5 seasons, there's so much throwaway, pointless stuff that happens. And I had a couple friends who went to school to study film, and they always told me that, like, I think there was 3 things. Scenes are supposed to either move the plot forward, develop relationships, or make you laugh. And when they don't do any of those 3 things, they're pointless. And The Sopranos has a lot of those scenes where it's like not really developing a character because these are one-off people.
Why is this here?
Yeah. And that's kind of like how I felt about the Artful Escape intro. I felt like, why is this as long as it is? Let me go to the woods to the bedroom, or the woods to space.
Yeah, but I mean, that whole opening scene is very pretty and calming, but the rest of the game is like nothing like that. But also the rest of the game is mostly like walking through things. You know, it's not... Is you jump and you can like play guitar while you're running and you can like light up the backgrounds, but other than that, like it's so simple that simplicity is almost like a boon to the game itself.
Yeah, I mean, in one way for you that's nice is, say you had a long day at work, Artful Escape is a game you can easily turn on. It's just part of Game Pass, and you really don't have to invest any of your brain to play it. You know, it's just something that exists and can continue to exist. Do you need to take a break, or can we go straight into the news?
Yeah, let's just jump into it.
Let's do it, man. There was actually a big thing, the joke with THQ, that, you know, it's not really a joke either. That was, to be fair, I think THQ did a pretty good job with those titles. It was just so out of the blue because a lot of those are 20-year-long revivals at this point. You know, like their weird press conference was talking about games that are 99 pre-millennium games, and they are like, hey, we're making a sequel to that. You remember that one? Kind of in that same vein, the Nintendo Direct September 2021 happened. It was strange. Before we give our impressions of the Direct, I want to go over everything. But did you watch it?
No, I did catch a recap of the trailers though, and I've been kind of reading up on some of the things.
Oh,
it's something, you know, I wasn't expecting a lot of that, but I'm also not like disappointed by most of it.
Well, overall, like I have to say, a lot of the things did not speak to me there, but I thought the direct was one of the best they've had in a long time. Like I felt like it was quick. There was not a lot of wasted time. There was maybe 5 minutes spent on Metroid. You know, they've done that crap in the past where it's like, here's 30 minutes of Smash for the 40 minutes. You know, it's like, oh man. So we got 10 minutes of game stuff. Yeah, let's go over it, dude. They started pretty strong. I can't remember what the opening title was. I think it was it was Monster, maybe not Monster Hunter, but there was something that kicked it off. But the first thing that really kind of was like, wow, I didn't expect this, but I do want it, is the Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, or the Forgotten Land, the 3D Kirby.
Looks really cool.
I am hoping it's good.
I'm hoping so too, but I mean that's a move I was not expecting for a Kirby game.
Kirby has essentially become Sonic in my mind, or Yoshi.
Yeah,
where it's
that's what I was gonna say. Like, I wish that Sonic would do what I see in this Kirby trailer here. But then again, we didn't really get to see much besides him like going up an escalator or something. So
no, I mean you do get to see him suck up powers though, and you do get to see him use those powers to open things. Like, essentially, the cool thing about Kirby is, I know they did this with Mario, which actually now looking back, they should have just done with Kirby. Like, Kirby's power was essentially Mario's hat. You know, I loved Odyssey, but it's like he sucks up things and then he can traverse the area using those abilities. Like, there are a lot of cool ideas for collecting and platforming. The only thing I just hope it's not going to be the traditional Kirby layout where it's like you go through a level and then you finish it and then it's done, because that's just always less interesting to me than like collecting things or doing something. You know what I mean? Like, just level-based stuff is not my jam. Like, I loved Super Mario 3D World, but I will say it took a while for me to get invested in that game. Yeah, another thing, you know, I'm looking at an IGN list, so this does not have it in chronological order of when it was announced. They finally did the thing. They are adding Nintendo 64, and this is the big surprise, Sega Genesis games to Nintendo Switch Online.
But the lineup's actually pretty good, though. You know, you got your Streets of Rage and Echo the Dolphin, Sonic the Hedgehog, you got Mario 64, Mario Kart, Star Fox 64, and this one was surprising, was Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. That was one I wasn't expecting to see there.
Really? No, you're being a jerk. Yeah, it's like the number one N64 title.
No, I'm serious. Like, it
really?
just, I would have thought that would have been like primed for one of their remakes or remasters, kind of like Link's Awakening or something.
But they might do that still, because this is just the N64 version. It's not going to have any of the modern quality of life things like even the 3DS version had that came out, 6 years ago now. The biggest thing, because I agree with you, I think the lineup's pretty killer, and they already announced like the future lineup, unlike these other ones, so you kind of know what's waiting, at least on the N64 front. The only thing about it that I am still cautious about before I'm like, is it's gonna cost more. Not that Nintendo Switch Online was ever expensive; it was $20 a year, but we don't know what this add-on is going to be for the N64.
Because right now
Sega.
it's like $4 a month, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's cheaper if you just do the year. It's $20 for the whole year. It's like dirt cheap. It's the cheapest online service that exists, because it is also the thinnest online service that exists. No voice chat. I don't even think you can do parties on the Switch. So really all you get are these classic games in like this weird rental service. So right now you have Super Nintendo games, NES, and those catalogs that they have on offer are very, very weak. It's just pretty much the biggest Nintendo titles and nothing else.
Does it irritate you, though, that like these games that they're letting you play through the service that you owned at one point or another on a digital console of some kind?
Yeah, on the virtual console, you got it, man. 2017, they broke me finally. You know, like I am actually happy to see this at all, because they broke me. You know, in 2017, 2018, I was so upset. We talked about that so many times on the original Super BS. But at this point, man, I'm just happy it's going to be possible to play those games. Like I said, though, it really depends on the price. If they try to squeeze an extra $20 a year for this, I just don't know if it's I just don't know if it's worth it. I mean, I know it's only $40, but it's like, this is six, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 N64 games, and like a little bit over a dozen Sega Genesis games, and you could buy a collection right now on Switch with, I think, every single one of those Sega Genesis games. It's $15 on sale. You know, the Genesis collection game that was on everything. So all I'm saying is, like, this this stuff exists for at least Sega. You're getting the N64 stuff, which doesn't exist. And they have a lineup coming out with Mario Golf, Paper Mario, F-Zero X, Majora's Mask, Kirby 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Pokemon Snap. A lot of great titles. There's a lot of stuff missing, but overall, great stuff. But if they want to double the price, they need to do more. So, like I said, $5, $10 a year, no problem. $1 a month, great, But the way they're doing it's so weird. It's called the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack. So you have to get a whole different thing, or you have to add it as an upgrade. It's so dumb. It's like, why not just
such a retro phrasing too? Expansion pack.
Just put it in there, and then for anyone when they have to re-up next year, charge them the upgrade price. Just let the people who subscribed have it for cheap. That's what I would do personally.
A thief, man.
But whatever. Yeah,
what are you against, like capitalism or something? Come on.
Man, just because I think the way that Nintendo does stuff is so confusing. So what they announced with that is you can also buy an N64 Bluetooth controller or a Sega Genesis controller. They're both $50. They have all the buttons so you can play modern games with them. Are you going to get either of those or no?
No, probably not. But I like the idea of it. I do have a GameCube controller for my Switch, which is fun to play with on occasion.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the Switch Pro controller is so good. I just don't see why I will ever get another controller.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, the Genesis button layout would be incredibly frustrating for some of these Switch games. Mm-hmm. And also the Nintendo 64 controller, as much as like I loved it when I was a kid,
it sucks.
It's awful. Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense, and like trying to play Mario 64 with like an N64 controller would be a lot more frustrating than just playing it with the Switch version, which we've already done with Mario All-Stars.
Yeah. It's annoying, man. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm not buying either of those controllers at that price. I didn't even get the Super Nintendo one, and I thought that was actually a cool thing. The Super Nintendo controller they sold 2 years ago. They ended the show with this, and I'm just going down this IGN list, so I just don't really want to have to like come back to it. They ended the show with Bayonetta 3. Not a game I'm really excited for, but
it's been disappeared for a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone was wondering whether it was still happening or not.
2017, man, that was when they first showed it, and now it's coming out in 2022. I have no interest in that game or that series. I thought the trailer looked good, but I don't think I'll play it unless I'm really like needing something to play at that time.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, like, why it vanished. Like, what were the issues with it?
We don't know, man. There wasn't a lot that was said. But it does seem like maybe it's very close to being done. So maybe when they showed it off at the beginning, because it was just a title, maybe they just had really nothing to say. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so they spent a lot of time on Splatoon 3, and the main thing was like...
Not interested in this game. Like, I don't really like Splatoon. Like, as the new season of esports is starting up at school, like they're trying to get people to play Splatoon 2, and I just...
Family friendly.
It's been such a tough sell, though, for the kids. Like, nobody wants to play it.
Yeah, I liked Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 when it came out in 2017. I picked it up, played it, had a blast, and just set it down, never picked it up again. You know what I mean? That's what that game is to me. It's like, it's a month of fun. It's not as much fun as like Call of Duty or anything, but it was enjoyable for the month I played it. They then spent time announcing a Monster Hunter Rise expansion pack called Sunbreak. Neither of us have interest in that game. I forget that game came out this year. Like that was a March title. They did this really weird thing for two of their games at the show. They announced that they're announcing the Smash Bros. Ultimate's final DLC fighter at a different event in October. October 5th is when they're going to announce the fighter. I have no clue why they just didn't do it here or why they even mentioned it there, because that was really strange. And then not right after, but fairly shortly after, they announced that the Animal Crossing is getting its own direct in October to talk about some DLC that's free that's coming to the game. I don't. Those two things like kind of boggle my mind that they spent almost any time. I would have just been like, hey, we got a smaller direct coming about these two games.
Yeah, and is it even worth it to have its own direct at that point, though? I mean, they can't be announcing that much new content for it.
I don't know why they just didn't make a short trailer and then put a longer one up online, because I feel like this way, maybe it's not ready or I don't know, but I felt like it was really, really bizarre to do that. They talked a lot about the Mario Party Superstars game that's coming out in October. Still have no interest in playing it. I'm sure it's fun, but yeah, I don't play games with people very often in person, so I just don't care. Are you going to pick up this one to play with family or no?
No, I can't. Yeah, I don't think my girls are advanced enough in gaming to play that one. Maybe in a couple years, but I don't think they're ready for Mario Party yet.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it looked fun. Like I said, I really thought this is a strong direct, but talking about it makes me almost feel like it's not, because they had Miyamoto come out during the direct to talk about, like, this is what blew my mind. When he came out, I was thinking, like, oh man, we're getting Mario Odyssey, or we're getting a new Mario game. Like, this is going to be incredible. Like, I can't wait. No, he came out to talk about the... Go, you tell him.
We got a Mario. It's just not the Mario we were hoping for.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Mario that everybody wants is Star-Lord. They want a blonde Mario.
Well, it's not a live action thing. It's a computer animated movie, but
made by the Despicable Me people. It's like such a weird thing.
Yeah, Illumination, I think the
they're going to have minions in it, I'm sure.
It was weird to see Chris Pratt attached as Mario. You know, and now that I like think about it, I'm okay with it, but it seems like a weird choice to me, you know, especially since there's probably I want to say better like Italian actors out there that could probably like really swing that part better.
I mean, here's the thing, like, we all kind of forget that Chris Pratt is like a comedic actor. Maybe that's not his first thing, but that's who he became noticed for. Parks and Rec, Andy, like that's what he's noticed for. So I think he'll do a killer job. It looks funny because like the Chris Pratt we have now is like super ripped. Sorry, that's me also on a hog, passing other hogs, if you could hear that in the background. They have Anya Taylor-Joy, who's playing Peach. I guess she was Queen's Gambit girl. And honestly, like some of this cast is awesome. Charlie Day as Luigi, like that's a perfect fit. I can already hear the voice now. It's going to be so funny. Yeah. Jack Black as Bowser. That could be good. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad.
Jack Black's also attached to the Borderlands movies. He's kind of getting his feet in the video game adaptation realm.
I mean, he's in Psychonauts and Psychonauts 2. He's always in every Double Fine game. So he was also Brutal Legend, if you remember the Double Fine.
Oh, that's
that was him.
I forgot that game existed.
Yeah, he's a really funny voice actor in Psychonauts 2. And I don't want to spoil it, but there's also another star in Psychonauts 2 that is just, it caught me off guard. It was really, really funny. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, I could see that as being pretty funny because Keegan-Michael Key does a really good like straight comedy, you know, like just that silent, he's, you know, I think he's really, really funny. Seth Rogen is playing Donkey Kong. People like picked on this because Seth Rogen sucks. I agree with him, but I could totally see him do a really good Donkey Kong because he has that dumb voice. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. That is right. That's correct. And then the final voice actor, there was others, but the final one that I know that I was stoked on was Fred Armisen. He's going to be Cranky Kong, Donkey Kong's grandpa, I guess. I never understand that relationship. I don't know why there's so many Donkey Kong characters in a Mario movie. This one's going to be weird. Let's run through the last of this stuff. Most of it's not Nintendo related. There's like a couple more Nintendo things, but the Nintendo Direct had a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, not remake, just the original, the game you can already play on the iPad or Xbox right now. It's coming to Switch on November 11th. It looks bad because it's now how old is that? 19-year-old game or somewhere around there. 17-year-old game at this point.
Yeah.
Castlevania Advance Collection came out. That seems really neat. I almost picked it up, but it's like I have so much stuff to play.
Yeah, this one I was interested in for sure. I want to go back and play a lot of the old Castlevania games. I don't know. I don't have the time for it.
That's kind of the problem that I have too. I've heard they're great. I would love to try them out if I ever find myself, just like having the time and they're dirt cheap, put on the wish list and maybe I'll pick it up. ActRaiser Renaissance, which is a remaster, not really a full remake, kind of like a weird redesign of the original ActRaiser. Original ActRaiser, incredible RPG on Super Nintendo, made by a company called Quintet, but published by Enix, so now it's owned by Square Enix, I believe. And the art style they chose is boggling. It is so ugly and trash-like. I don't actually want to play it, but I put it on my wish list because I love the original ActRaiser, so I might indulge at some point if it's ever cheap. That game, we talked about. I don't know if we talked about this. Did we talk about Project Triangle Strategy?
Yeah, we did back when they first showed it.
Yeah, March. I played the demo too. It was quite fun. They did the thing they did with Project Octopath Traveler. It is now called Triangle Strategy, and it is coming out March 4th.
Are they keeping that name, Triangle?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The only thing they got rid of was Project. So it went from Project Triangle Strategy to Triangle Strategy. Octopath Traveler was Project Octopath Traveler to Octopath Traveler. So they had a Metroid Dread extended story trailer, and they showed that you go to different planets. It looked neat. Are you going to pick up that game? We haven't really talked about it too much other than me.
I don't really have a history with Metroid, so this one's hard for me. Like I'd like to go back and play. I mean, if you have some essential Metroid to throw at me,
I have essential oils if you want me to get all those for you. So I don't know which ones you want.
I don't really have a history with Metroid enough to like be excited about this game. You know, I was kind of hoping they do some kind of like good place for a new player to enter into it, but it sounds like this is just the ending of what was.
Yeah, I think it's a Nintendo story. I don't think you really need to know what the other ones are to totally play and have fun. That being said, my real experience with Metroid was the 3D games, the Prime games. So this one, I have played a little bit of Super Metroid. I'm still excited for it just because the Switch has been so empty this year. It's been lifeless. You know, I picked up Skyward Sword, played a little bit of that. I don't love it. Anyways, Yoko Taro, dude who made the Nier games, he has a weird card RPG that is coming soon. I personally think it looks terrible. The artwork's incredible, but it just doesn't look like a game for me, I should say. Go ahead. Are you?
Oh no, I don't like card games.
What are you talking about, man? Everybody here knows you're a card head.
Wasn't Stankbank? Wasn't he really into what was that game he's always playing? Hearthstone, yeah.
I love Hearthstone as well, but I've played several other card games and I just don't care for them. Hearthstone's a special one.
Yeah, and I know they had Gwent, I think was one, like the Witcher.
Gwent's great.
Game.
I loved that in-game. I didn't actually enjoy the Gwent outside of it. There was a Witcher RPG where you run around a map and then you fight battles using the cards, and I picked up that thing like, I'm going to love this. I think it's called like Witcher Thronebreaker. And I hated it. I didn't hate it. I just didn't think it was fun. They then talked about Dying Light coming to Switch, which I guess is coming on October 19th. And they're releasing Dying Light 2 as a cloud version on Switch. I know why they can't put it on Switch. I don't know why they're releasing a cloud version of it. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like those don't make them very much money, but I don't know the stats on them.
That's that's another thing, you know, like we talked about before. You get these cloud versions or these like online versions. There's no guarantee you're going to be able to keep this content.
Yeah. I mean, you're essentially paying not full price most time. Normally it's like $20 off, but you're essentially paying like $20 off for like a long-term rental. So they then talked about Mario Golf Super Rush, a game we both talked about being interested in, and they're getting some new characters, some new courses. It's neat. Nothing that's making me run out and buy it, but next time it's on sale, maybe. This is something I was stoked about, and I was extra stoked because it was free, so I just downloaded it. Deltarune Chapter 2. I've talked about Deltarune to you before in the past. I'm not sure if I talked about it on the podcast. I really enjoyed it. I'm not even sure we were doing the show when I got into Undertale, and I loved Undertale. I don't know if we talked about that on the show or not.
No, I don't think we did. I remember a lot of people talking about it, though, when it came out.
I love Undertale, dude. It is very good. Deltarune is the sequel, side story, whatever you want to call it. It's a different game with the same characters, but they don't know each other. It's different everything. It's too much to get into now. But anyways, he released Chapter 1 like 2 or 3 years ago for free, and it went on Switch like in 2019. And then he released Chapter 2 just like 2-3 weeks ago on PC. And now it's on Switch. So I'm going to hopefully get to that. There's a new Chocobo GP. I never played the PlayStation 1 game, but it looks like it's kind of like... You never played it? No, was it good?
Oh, dude, I love that game. Yeah, it was... I mean, it was more like... It's just Chocobo racing, you know? It wasn't anything like amazing, but it was still really fun to play.
Right? Wasn't there lots of stuff to it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of like little... mini games and stuff you could do. I enjoyed it. I always liked that. So I was kind of excited to see them announce this Switch version of it.
I don't think it's a Switch. Yeah, it's like a
new
sequel, if you will.
A new one. Yeah. Because I always thought that this was going to be one of those franchises that just kind of vanished after a while.
Same. Yeah, the Chocobo side games I feel like just disappeared after the DS. You know, they had like a ton around that time. Like I had like Chocobo Tales or something like that. I played on DS.
Yeah, in the Chocobo Dungeon DX or whatever it was. Do you remember Final Fantasy VII had like they introduced you to Chocobo racing, but then they had like a snowboarding game too.
I loved the snowboarding game. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It wasn't the best. My favorite game was it's called and they remade it for the intermission. It was called Condor, Fort Condor, and it was like a turn-based or not turn-based. It was like a real-time strategy game in Final Fantasy VII. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, it was very cool. If you ever get a chance and you play the original Final Fantasy VII ever again, it is a blast. The remake intermission I've talked about, the Fort Condor minigame there, it's also very good. It's just very limited. You can only play against a handful of people, and it gets hard way too quick. So I fell off. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to play all of them. And then I fought a guy that I could not. I tried playing against him 3 or 4 times. I'm like, I just don't have the abilities he has. Disco Elysium, a game that already came out on PC 2 years ago and on PS4 earlier this summer, is coming out to both Switch, and they didn't announce it here, but they announced it right after Xbox as well on October 12th. They're putting out more stuff for Hyrule Warriors. I
still want to go back and play this. I remember I pre-ordered this, but I never went to go pick it up, so I'd still like to go back and play this one.
I have no interest in the Musou series games anymore. I picked up a handful of them, and I haven't liked them since Dynasty Warriors 2. Here is a game that you and your kids might like. Disney Magical World 2. Did you see that one?
Yeah, what is this? Is this like another Disneyland game, or are you just kind of going to Disney Kingdoms, or what's the deal?
I don't know. At first, I thought it was a Kingdom Hearts game, and then they showed the weird Mii characters, and I'm like, oh, this is some weird game. So I don't know, man, but it looks like you go to different Disney worlds and probably do mini games. That would be my guess.
I'll look into it.
This game that I'm talking about second is very fun. Shadowrun trilogy. They were like 3 classic turn-based isometric strategy RPGs. 2 of them are on iPad, which is how I played them. All 3 are on PC. So it's Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Dragonfall, and Shadowrun Hong Kong. It's the director's cut and extended versions of all those games. For me, I may pick it up, but the thing is, it's coming out in 2022, and I should hopefully have my Steam Deck by then. And I already own all these games. Yeah. So I don't see myself spending $50 for games I spent $5 on each. Right. Then they had a bunch of other small stuff. It was like Rune Factory 5 and some other stuff, and Pac-Man, and honestly, nothing else even really worth discussing. Overall, I like I said, I thought they did a real good job. I thought they were going to bungle it. I thought it was going to be like potentially the worst direct ever, just because they said it was for this year. They said it was supposed to be showing off games coming out this winter, and that wasn't the case at all. I think only like a couple new things are coming out in October that they didn't already tell us about.
Right, but I mean, it's still, again, like there's a couple games on there that were pleasant surprises, you know? And like, I don't think that these are going to be flagship games by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one of those things like, oh yeah, it's going to be nice to know that we got something to play in these months.
Yeah, I am more excited for Nintendo's next year than I am this, obviously, when we've discussed that multiple times. I think they could have an insane 2022 if the things that they're supposed to have released come out. Like, if they do Breath of the Wild 2 and Bayonetta 3 and potentially Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and maybe a new Mario and this Kirby, I mean, that alone makes me think it could just be
packed year. Yeah.
But we'll see, man, because I just feel like out of all the companies, they've been the most silent since COVID started last year, and they were already going into 2020. Sorry, I was trying to think what year we're in now. They were already going into 2020 on like weak footing. Like 2019 was one of their weaker years. So, yeah, man, I am, I had Fire Emblem 3 Houses and Luigi's Mansion 3 and stuff, but it wasn't like the strongest year for them. I don't know, man. I really hope I hope this stuff lands and it all comes out and it's good. I really hope that Kirby game's good. That was honestly like my game of the show, probably.
Yeah. I was pretty excited about that, and that was funny because I saw that right as I was playing like Sonic Colors. So I was wondering like, oh, why can't Sonic do something like that?
You're like,
You know,
why can't they ever make a good Sonic game? They're trying, at least with
Yeah.
Kirby. What I would love
Right.
next to see is a good Yoshi game that's not made for toddlers. You know, something
oh
where it's
yeah,
like
nothing outside the crafted world or whatever.
none of those, because I mean they're
Yeah.
just so simple. It's not even fun. You know, there's really
And
nothing to them.
They're repetitive and they get boring after a while. I remember I bought that Yoshi game and I'd never finished it because I just felt like I was playing the same level over and over again.
I mean, I played the demo and I mean, it's probably made for 5-year-olds or lower because it is so simple. I don't even know if you can get hurt. You know, I think you
Yeah.
might be able to, but it's like that style of game. Like there's no punishment, there's no challenge. It's almost Artful Escape, but there's slightly more to it than that. You know, there's like,
It has like a Sackboy vibe to it.
yeah, I think I enjoy Sackboy more than it, which is saying something because I don't like the Sackboy games. That being said, I do want to pick up Sackboy Big Adventure, but I am waiting till they drop it. It's still $60, and for me, it's like that's a $30 game.
I think I picked it up for like 40.
Oh, okay.
It was
Yeah.
on
Did you ever
sale.
turn it on? Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about it slightly. You played it for a little bit, right?
I played. No, I mean I finished it. It's a good game.
Oh, you liked it. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
am
enjoyed
excited
it.
to play that, but
It's
know
got a
me.
little more. It's got a little more action than Yoshi does. So I think that's what kind of like kept me going through the rest of it.
Yeah, man. I am sure it's better than a Yoshi game, only because the Yoshi games just tend to suck so much. The last one I liked was the N64 one, and since then I feel like it's just been the weakest, some of the weakest stuff. But to be fair, that's what I would have said about Kirby. Kirby was so bad that you essentially walk from left to right the whole time. Oh,
I remember those on Game Boy. I think I played the first one on Game Boy.
And honestly, like the first one, I got it because at that time the first one was fun because that's what games were, and it gave you something different with the abilities. You know, like it was kind of neat. But the problem is, after Kirby 64, they did a bunch of like offshoots, like Kirby's Canvas and Kirby, all these different Kirby games. You know, and.
Yeah.
I didn't play a lot of them, but the ones I did try were like walk from left to the right, you know, like suck up thing. You know, it's very simple. So, okay, my bro, do you have any plans for gaming this coming week? So we maybe have some stuff to talk about. So when we're #1 Twitch stars next week, everybody will know us.
Boom. Twitch stars, #1. Tales of Arise, man. I plan on playing.
Plan on
that
beating it. You plan on platinum it. You said
all
it
the way,
right here
all
first.
the way through. You know it.
You're gonna have to quit your job to do that. It's 80 hours, so just quit your job now. So
I'll write Bandai a chat, or I'll send a money request to Bandai. They can pay me to play the game.
they won't pay you to play. You're gonna have to pay them extra for even talking about it on stream next time. Okay. Dude, I cannot wait for us to be #1 meme lords on the internet, dude. We are going to kill it. Twitch stars. Everybody knows us. They're going to be chanting our names like Baby Boy Brank, and they'll be chanting you. They'll be like the other guy. And we won't give you a name.
Yeah, okay.
We'll call you Other. OG. That'll be your name. Your name will be OG.
The other guy, OG.
Dude, that's a good name, man, if I do say so myself. Okay, man, anything you want to add before we walk off into the dreaded wasteland known as 2021?
I don't think so, man. I think we covered it all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.